Why not? So I'm just gonna figure it out as we go. My game plan today was to create that app. I don't necessarily need to do that, I suppose. But I kind of want to figure out if there's a good setup to do that. So that's what I'm going to do now. This is a little bit of setup time to do that. So welcome to Newscapes Live. We are at, I don't even know if the mic is very good on my phone, so maybe I'll pull it up closer. Uh, 163 Washington Ave in Portland, Maine. And come on down and have a conversation and have a beer and have food. Because all of that is available here at Newscapes Brewing at 163 Washington Ave, Portland, Maine. In the meantime, though, like I said, I'm going to set this stuff up. Step A is figuring out how to keep my phone charged. So I'm going to dig around in my wires and do that. You can sit here and watch me do that if you want. In order to accomplish this task, I have a tote full of bags full of wires. I need to see if I have a USB-C connection with the power adapter. I have this, but I don't think. Ooh, maybe this might work. So we'll see if I can plug this. I don't think this thing actually works, but we'll find out. So we'll see if I can plug this in and use as a power thingy. I don't think I can, but try. I don't care about this. This would be what I would connect to the computer, but I don't really need to do that. Hey, dude. That was a TV show back in the day. Nickelodeon. Not USB-C. Not USB-C. Not USB-C. Extension cord. Who? I'm doing okay. How are you doing? I'm running out of baggies. USB-C. This will do. Maybe. We'll find out. Apparently, if you do a live stream over your phone, people will jump on and interact and stuff. So this improvisation has been beneficial in the learning process.
Yeah. You jumped in, anybody know?
I don't know. Maybe I do. There ran two names. I definitely got a, hey, oh wait, no. I think that's, how are you doing today? I misread that. I apologize. I read that as, are you okay? I don't know why. Maybe that's a psychological thing with me. All right. Excuse my hand, or don't. That's entirely up to you. All right. The moment of truth. it does not work. So, our next step, I found one more little plug thing. That is, oh, here we go. Found this. Like this into this and see what happens. Nope. No. But we have a path now. And connector. Try this one. That's very short, but we have an extension cord. I was in the Cub Scouts, and I never learned how to tie knots or untie knots, but I managed to do it. Alright. Moment of second truth. Oh! Success. There it is, folks. We've overcome obstacle one. I can charge my phone while I record this. Alright, now for the next part. How do I get this going? I got my whiteboard and stuff. But I'm not gonna... We can design the recipe. Can't... Right now, I could go on a break and figure out... Because I got a camera that I could hook up to a computer if I wanted to that's here. But I think we're gonna roll like this for now. But I will get the whiteboard and we'll talk about designing the app. Question though, should I put on my earbuds and do the earbuds run through this if I do? I know I've recorded stuff before and it didn't run through, so that might be another test. We'll find out. Oops. Get rid of the roll. And I need to get something to drink. So the major difference here is going to be I'm not going to have those sweet little cutaways when I take a break. You're just going to have to look at nothing. But perhaps I'll turn it this way. And then you can like see the bag. And then you can see this space out there. Oh, there we go. Out there. But at the same time, I don't want to just film patrons that don't want to be filmed, so I guess we'll keep it here. Oh. Good angle. There's a bunch of stuff I don't need. All right. Well, welcome to Newscapes Live, and I'll be back. I'm like I said, go grab a drink and grab the whiteboard, figure out a good setup for that, and take it from there.
Yeah, we try to keep them nice and chill. I was at a bar in Hawaii one time and had frosting on it. I have to say, it doesn't stay cool. Like, especially in Hawaii, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, as soon as you put the beer in the glass really draws it.
It's gonna be available as quick as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
More like it. Yeah, no worries in the car, just, I'm gonna run downstairs for the rest of the week, I'm gonna be here. You guys from?
Around,
Where you from?
Province around?
Oh, sweet, cool. You guys got hit pretty hard this winter with snow, huh?
Yeah.
Well, really just one big one. But
Yeah, they did too.
Yeah.
We saw it all the way up here, we felt for it.
There was like two weeks apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One was like 2 feet, and it took 2 weeks, it was so freaking cold that none of it melted.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we got like 36 inches 2 weeks later.
That's a big
one.
That's a big.
That broke the record.
Yeah, no one can keep up with it. Not a cloud company in the world that can keep up with that shit. I'll just go, all right, she won.
Yeah.
Combination won this time. Can't fight it. All in win.
Other than small trees, so they didn't polish it for 2
I
days.
saw those videos of places with babies, the weeks even, I think some of them were
Yeah.
pretty sad. I'll be right back. I just gotta grab the rest
Yeah.
of my ideas.
We see you usually got a lot.
Usually I don't have black.
Oh.
The one I really like is the one that we used to look at therapy and we went to Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's hard when you have to go through that. You almost have to have a video.
Used to be my favorite beer.
Alright, let's test this sound thing.
I've been saying that for 30 years.
Way too warm for the coat.
It definitely has notes of like chocolate.
Okay, now I have no idea if you can hear me through the Bluetooth or not. If you can, and you're watching, say something. If it didn't make a difference, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to see how it does work.
Yeah, so instead of using the green 100%, this is 100%.
So, I forgot my whiteboard markers too, which is fun. I'm going to go ahead and use sticky notes, which you might not be able to read from there, but I'll adjust it.
You know what they're doing?
Yeah, they got something like that.
Are they basically like giving you water?
In a small sense, right, that's what extract is, so a lot of the, malt extract, it's a powdered version, so it looks like confectionery sugar, different colors of it, you know, like malt extract. So, yeah, whatever they're doing, they're doing some magic over there.
Yeah.
Try to bring it up the way it is, well,
Sounds good for you. It's consistent.
it's simple.
In lieu
So everybody's on their whole.
of whiteboard markers, it's glare at the same time.
There's a lot to it.
We'll use sticky notes.
Taking a lot of-
Alright. So if we want to, and I'm not gonna, well, I will waste sticky notes, whatever. Our goal is to create a recipe application.
Right.
Right.
So the consistency is consistent.
Right.
And then have it on for 6 years.
Alright. This is what we're going to do. recipe application at the very top. You can't read that. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can give it a shot.
They could be the biggest brewer in the world if they want to, but they're like, no, we're just gonna allow, we're gonna make them all full on. It's all got this shit and go for it. But yeah, they've got that figured out. One thing I'll say is I try to want them back from home, I want them to do stuff for the back from home. But all the moms I try to back from home. It takes for me. I'm like, wow, look at the
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of flavor. And I happened to try a bunch of different recipes that we really want. I like this one. I like this one.
So now I have a Sharpie. See if this works best. You know, I had to improvise, but I don't hate it. We'll keep going. Recipe. I'll just go with that. I can hardly read that, but maybe that shows it better. Not really. Moving on. Alright, so with the recipe application, let's write down some things that we want to see out of the recipe application. So, I had a suggestion come to me from somebody on Facebook. They had wanted to look up recipes on the internet.
The secret is what they do in the modern sites, but similarly for dirt, I think they also can't be used. When I said I try always in that.
Alright, so we had look up recipes on the internet. Actually, as I was writing that, the request was actually download recipes from the internet. So, download. Well, that is the second one, because they're separate things. Perfect. So now we got look up recipes from the internet, download recipes from the internet. One of the things that I was thinking about when the idea kind of came about was being able to store ingredients and say what you like for meals, and be able to cross-reference a database to say, all right, yeah, you can make these recipes with that, or actually more specifically, like follow specific diets. So I want to go into following the Mediterranean diet right now. Me and my girlfriend are both in our 40s, and blood work and all that stuff is something that people in their 40s are, I guess, are supposed to pay attention to. So we're doing that, and we're going to check out the Mediterranean diet. Bought a bunch of cookbooks, and are going to try to put together some sort of meal plan based around that. I'm a very picky eater. I take that back. I'm not super picky. I know what I like, and I stick to this thing. It's a pretty broad range, I think. But according to the people that like the things that I don't like, I'm a picky eater. So, what I'd like to be able to do is say, all right, well, fine, these are the things I like. If I like these things, how does that line up with the diets that I might want to try? So if it's the Mediterranean diet or the other diets that are out there, then, be able to do that. So, so the request would be to, in the recipe app, I also want to be able to match diet to personalized. Well, I apparently can't spell taste, and I spelled it Tate, and then I ended up turning into some strange, potentially Egyptian hieroglyphic, but I think I'll figure it out. Alright, so we want to look up recipes on the internet, download recipes from the internet, match diet to personal taste. With those things, is there anything else that I can think of that anybody suggested? I don't. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously you have. Yeah, save favorite recipes. Oh, you know what? I want to save it. I want to. export favorite recipe, download download favorite recipes, and also it'd be kind of cool if you can download those favorite recipes. In which case, you'd need to have a kind of standardization. So what we want to do is put together a recipe format that is comfortable for most users to use. So standard.
I was going to like Zilla or one of those like
Little kids that you know,
well, it's basically a pipe within a pipe.
Consumption.
There's a pump and the heating element. So
Right.
in a cage is.
So we got 1, 2, 3,
Oh,
4, 5
Now,
that we want to work on with this. So we look up recipes on the internet, download recipes from the internet, match diet to personal taste, download favorite recipes, standard format for consumption. I think also if you're gonna have an app that used by a number of people, being able to share that as a community and share the app as it goes, share the recipes that you have that you want to add to it and share with the world. To do that. So upload your own recipes.
And people don't blink an eye, and I don't have to do anything except.
Alright, perfect. We'll leave it here.
6, 6, 6, the next day.
And we'll organize this by tier. So this is the app. We got a recipe app. Oops. Let me just not move stuff all over the place.
Yeah, compared to what it takes.
You can't read it anyway. I don't know why I'm making a thing of this. So top tier here, you got recipe app. Second tier here, these are the things that we want to include in the recipe app. So we want to include lookup recipes on the internet. We want to be able to have the user go in there and be able to, however they interact, click a button, type in a query, whatever it is, be able to look up recipes from the internet. I already have something in mind for that. I put together a tool that I can pull full Reddit threads and parse the information that way. So that would be a good source to do that. So we're able to do that. I already know that. Download recipes from the internet. That's just web scraping. That can be done pretty easily. Similar to the methods used with the Reddit app. You can create another tool specifically to do that. What's nice about creating tools when you have an app set up like this, right? So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 specific things that we need to do. You can create a whole app, which is fine, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of this stuff, the work, the functionality is going to be used in other apps along the way. So as we develop it, rather than just say, we'll make the recipe app, we can say, well, let's make the pieces that work for the recipe app so we know how to use them later on. That's basically the download. So look up recipes on the internet, download recipes from the internet. Downloading, we already covered those things. Match diet to personal taste. That's going to require some sort of data storage. So we need to know what's available for each diet and what kind of menu items there are, what kind of foods there are, what kind of health benefits or adversities there are. If we have a database of that ready to look at, anytime somebody says, all right, well, here's my diet preference, we can do that through a form field that's open, that's a paragraph length or whatever. They can put in whatever their information is, we parse it and parse the data, parse the information, extract the data, dump it into staging tables, match that information up against the data that we already have. That's how that would be done. So in order to do that, we'd need a Superbase website. Superbase database. It's a free database. You can do it on a free tier, and that's what I use. So we can do it that way. That's good. Download favorite recipes. that would also go into that back end. Because storing all the information, you can go ahead and extract that information as need be. So you go ahead and throw a flag on some recipe combination or some ingredient combinations and some process combinations which make the recipe. And then you got your favorite recipe. So that's probably going to be done through querying in some query scripts in the Supabase backend. Standardized format for consumption, that is going to be just how we're going to go ahead and push out
Related to the Cisco food?
No.
whatever it is that the user's going to get. So in this case, we're doing a recipe app. So the consumption would be, you got favorite recipes, the maybe a PDF gets produced, something printable. I think PDF's nice because you can have a saved file that you can put wherever. That can be parsed by other things if it needs to be done. So maybe that's the way to do it. Otherwise, it's maybe a user screen, like a portal that they just go in and they can print the page if they want to. We decided there's a couple of different paths on it. I think since we're working in the web app space, it makes more sense to make the output be on screen, maybe interactive thing, with the option to print the screen. I suppose the option to download it because maybe you can use it. Alright, and the last one that we have on here is upload recipes. Upload recipes. So yeah, I mean, we want to make it easy for the user to be able to say, hey, I have this macaroni and cheese recipe that my grandmother passed down to me, and we've made it in our family all the time. I'm going to go ahead and upload this and share it. So you have to be able to put in your ingredients, you have to put in the process it takes to make it, maybe some standardized stuff that goes back to a standard format for consumption, prep time, all that stuff. Maybe instead of, or maybe you request that stuff, and then on top of that, you add a layer of analysis to say, all right, well, if you have these things, it's going to take about this much time, or based on similar recipes, it's going to take this much time to fill in the blanks and identify, like or not identify, but alert when those blanks are being filled in to the user. But all kinds of stuff we can do that. So we do upload recipes. We'll make some decisions and add another layer. And when I get back, I'm gonna step away, and then I'm gonna take it the earpiece and see what happens.
Essentially drink, you get high instead of drinking, getting drunk.
I think it's changed a lot. I think overall, our society's become a little bit more conscious of our health. Over the last 10 years, I think we've probably learned a lot. I think the internet has allowed us to really know a lot more about things. Connect the dots. I think as a whole, our society's maybe learning. I mean, like, you know what? Grandpa drank all day, every day, all day. Died of the cirrhosis of the liver.
Yeah.
I'm all set with alcohol. Like, I watch my mom get beaten by my dad every day. Every time, I don't want to drink. I don't know why. I don't want to have a dance. There's a lot of reasons that people would probably steer clear. But I think in the last few years, people know the brewery kicking's huge, and the sites are big.
COVID helped that too, because everybody's stuck in the house.
Yeah, it was something to do. I don't know, all the brewery, they put the beer in the trunk, tap you on the trunk and send you on your fucking way, like, can I get one for the road? Hold on, pop the trunk for you. They fuck, they do on everything, they give a shit. You can pull up to a restaurant, or a cocktail up front, they bring it to your car. It's a straw, the paper thing.
It's funny though, because like at the same time, that stuff's been going on all across the country. Like you look at Louisiana or Texas or whatever, they have.
Curbside,
Yeah, and I remember like years ago, we were finding out like who's doing that?
It's like legal to drink like a beer or two or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about that. Was it Montana's one of them, I think, maybe?
It's like a dry county or something? Is that-
No, they're allowed to.
You're allowed to drink in the car.
Really?
Yeah, so you can
Yeah.
go
I
to.
don't know if you can drink and drive, but definitely in the car.
Yeah.
And then there's stores, like liquor stores, there's a drive-through.
Yeah.
So
I
you
heard that
drive through
too.
the car, yeah, take a couple of 12 nights of that.
We're not supposed to open it.
Maybe not. I
Well,
don't
they
know.
do though.
But that's
They
why
do
people
want
have
people
this.
bad. Like this. It's one of those things like, yeah, the law is this. Here's your paper bag. You
Right.
go with your drink.
That's the last thing I
I'm not saying it. I do it for myself, I don't need to be, like, it's bad enough to be doing it illegally. If you told me I could do it every day, I'd be like, really? Okay, you said so. The roads would get real dangerous.
That's how I feel about weed.
What states allow you to drink beer? Malt draft?
Yeah. Well, no. So we can take that.
Mississippi is the only U.S. state that legally allows a driver to consume alcohol while driving.
Makes sense. Makes sense, yeah.
Down here in Mississippi, yeah. That checks out. Let's read on. Provided their blood alcohol content remains below legal limit of .08.
The property costs and,
Sounds like.
Yeah.
That is.
What's the educational usually people what applies? Instead of Louisiana,
So here's, in the following states, the driver must remain sober, but passengers are legally permitted to consume alcohol. Alaska, Connecticut.
Might have a magazine more than 10 rounds.
Yeah.
I'll be behind the car, letting the car with. So Delaware, Missouri, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia.
Rhode Island, you can drink in the car.
Not the driver.
Not the driver.
Oh, okay.
But the passenger, which is weird, because the name was definitely allowed to do open between those.
Plus, and how would you know that it wasn't the driver or the passenger that was drinking,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
So, I'm in the front seat, I'm in the passenger seat, you're in the
The cup's
driver's
in
seat.
between.
There's a couple, there's two
kids.
You can't drink it, but I can drink it, but there's no way for them to know whose it is when they get there, right?
Right, yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was.
And then, I'll run up the laws in those same states for breathalyzer tests. I wonder if they're allowed to.
I'm back, baby. Alright,
Well,
so
but what would be the difference, right?
quick
Because
recap.
as long as,
recipe
I'm
out.
not.
We want to look up recipes on the internet, download recipes from the internet, match diet to
Very
personal
beer,
taste.
in the ride, I'm not gonna be drunk, I'm not
Favorite
gonna be
recipes,
drunk.
standardized
Still drinking in the
format
car.
for consumption of recipes,
To be the person
and
that doesn't
upload
have to
receipts.
drive.
So we're going to talk about it a little bit with next here, how we do these things. Look up recipes on the internet, we'll go ahead and do that. I really want to write on this whiteboard. This is permanent marker. It's not going to work out so well. So
Also,
I'm being very careful.
I always try to double
Alright,
check.
so look up recipes on the internet. We're going to use Reddit.
Oh, yeah, you definitely
Invitation.
get a
Reddit, thread,
AI generated
Yeah.
anyway.
with that,
Yeah,
we'll,
I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
I'm afraid of things.
we'll add something that, something that will initiate a search first, then it'll hit their Reddit threads that have that, then it'll grab the links to those threads,
No, yeah.
and then it'll push those into the Reddit thread reader, and those results will come back and be parsed for information that we need. So we'll need to think of the data structure, the schema. The schema is hard to pronounce. Schema? S-C-H-E-M-A. We need to go ahead and produce that, and that would be in the tier down here. If I had different colored sticky notes, I would use different colored sticky notes, but we'll take what we have. So Reddit thread reader, we got a path for that. Download receipts from the internet. That's going to be recipes from the internet. That is going to be similar. It's going to be web scraping.
That one's what it must be. You got the
Web scrape.
Among something.
We're going to want to do not just like a broad search, but just kind of pick some spots that, some trusted sources or whatever to start. As the database builds, you're going to have all that stuff in there, which you can think of. And then you can upload from books, whatever, by adding. So we do, we have Alright, so we'll save that part for upload, but for downloading from the recipe, you do a web scrape and then you do verified sources. Maybe you just include the community to say, hey, what are your favorite recipe sites? And then we can figure out how to work with those recipe sites. I'm going to take a minute here to speak about web scraping real quick. When it comes down to the legality or the moral responsibility that comes around with it, we could not do the web scrape. If we wanted to, we could do it completely with upload recipes. That's fine. It's kind of silly to not do the web scrape just because there are instances where web scraping is pretty ridiculous. In this case, we're really just doing research for ourselves. We're not trying to make money off anything. Imagine I am going to the internet and looking at these things and writing it down and then putting it over there. I'm just making this a faster process. Again, I'm not making money off it. We'll go ahead and say, go to these sites and look up this recipe on your own if you really want to. I think it's on the website itself to make that a usable experience. I'm sure it is a usable experience, but if you can make it better, make it better. So, match diet to personal taste, we're ready for that. So we need the database, which is Supabase in this case. I'm going to explore some other ones at some point, but Supabase works for me. That's fine. And then we'll talk about this theme in the next level, because we don't need to do it here. Database is going to be Supabase, and then you're going to need some queries.
First. So that way we don't have to keep driving and come back and then
I guess you're going to kind of need like a personal profile if you want to save that stuff, or maybe you don't. And I would also say there's a couple different approaches. So if we're doing we just said a recipe app. We didn't really say a web application or anything. So it could be a web application. It could be a local install application. And that might make a difference in whether we save a personal profile to share or to like save the progress, save your recipes, all that stuff. Or if we just use a file that logs that stuff. In any case, we need a personal profile. So we can decide on that at that point in time. Let's just say it's going to be a web app for now. Stored. Yeah. Which means you need some sort of authentication to say, I am the person that wants my recipes. Alright. Boom, done. Alright, download favorite recipes. How are we going to do that? That is going to be tapped into our Supabase, because that's going to have the recipes that are available. The recipes that we get from uploaded receipts, downloaded recipes from the internet, or looked up recipes from the internet, all of those will be stored in our own repository, so we can go ahead and get that information. So, again, Supabase. Queries. Supabase database queries. Oops. Alright, standard format for consumption. We've already said that we're going to do a web application, so let's just say we need the ingredients. The process, what steps, blah blah blah. Maybe a picture. And this is Relay schema definitions. I'm putting it up here early. I know. But I'm going to do it anyway. Screen, brush picture, and we'll say, so it works in this web application because we've decided that it's going to be so. Oops. Alright. One thing I don't like about writing sticky notes is making marks on my hand. I'm not doing that. Almost done now. Alright, upload recipes. So we talked about that a little bit here. The database we need. We don't need a personal profile, but that's what I need to have that on the road. I guess you'd want to be able to save it to your uploaded recipe, so you can say, hey, this person uploaded this, or didn't, or this is where that recipe came from. Attribution, acknowledgement. So, yeah, that's just Supabase database. Supabase profile. Let's say module. For now. Here we go. Alright. So, I'm gonna actually, at this point I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna cut it short because I'm pretty limited with just the whiteboard and stuff. And I could use my time to continue this, or I can go home and continue working on it. I might do that. I'm kind of hungry too. And I'll take a little bit of a break, come back to it. And maybe I'll pick up the live stream from there. I will definitely do that when I jump back on it. But before I do that, I'm going to leave you with this recipe app. In this recipe app, we want to look up recipes on the internet, download recipes from the internet, match diet to person,
Yeah, you can if you want.
download favorites, standardize format for consumption, and upload recipes. In order to do these things, we're going to use a web reader, a web scraper, using verified sources that are brought in from users or stuff that we look at and say, hey, that's good. We're going to use a database, Supabase, to match match diet to personal taste. We're going to use Supabase database, do that through queries. We're going to have a personal profile, share data, and authentication in order to do that matching. Download favorite recipes. We're going to have Supabase database, more querying, standardized format for consumption, ingredients, process, picture. It's all going to be in a web application. That's going to be standardized format. And then we want users to be able to upload recipes. We're going to use the Supabase. We're going to use a profile, and we're going to tie that to theirs, and that we're going to give acknowledgement where acknowledgement is necessary for those things. I will say the only thing I didn't mention when we talk about the web application stuff, I've already mentioned Supabase as being our back end. What we're going to do is use GitHub as our repository. We're going to store all our documentation there, all our code files are going to be in there, and we're going to post whatever we do onto a GitHub page. So that's that. And then as we go through this, the other part of it is Perplexity AI is going to be a tool that we use to act as our developer, really. Our role in this situation is being the manager of the development, the project manager, if you will. If you've ever worked in a business that has works on projects and stuff, big or small, sometimes they have a project manager role. Their role is to guide development. It wouldn't necessarily be a project manager role in designing all this in all companies. In some companies it is. Personally, I think that kind of work should be sparsed out a little bit, spread out a little bit instead of put onto one person, because most of the people that I've experienced that do this kind of stuff aren't really good at that. But some people are able to manage that, and that's why they do their work as well as they do. Other people take, I don't know, 8 months to do a project that could have been done in 1 week. But you'll find that out if you ever go into the workforce and work for a variety of companies that exist in the United States of America and probably around the world. So, again, all that said, we're done here. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And I'm going to start up a live stream when I get home, maybe a couple hours, if I can eat something. Until then, though, talk to you later. Bye-bye.